if this is the man and this is the woman, this does not scare the man. Mm-hmm. But when this happens, the man is afraid that this is going to happen.
Oh, interesting.
It's not always just, she's doing better than me.
Yeah.
That's not the fear. The fear is, she's doing so much better than me. She's growing in her personal development, her financial development, her business, that this is going to happen. In other words, there's this insecurity in a low-performing man.
Welcome back to Talking with Teri TV. I'm your host, Teri Cardula. When it comes to thriving in your business, having a good relationship with your significant other is critical in creating your own happiness. Today's guest unpacks the secrets for how we can all have more effective, efficient communication and conflict resolution with our partners. Best-selling author, speaker, master trainer, and thought leader Ryan Jayton is here with so much more. So thank you for being here again.
Hey, you're welcome. It's good to be here. Always good to be here.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So you and I had connected via Zoom just to kind of talk about some topics. And what was fascinating to me is about your knowledge and wisdom around relationships. And I was like, we have to have a conversation around this as well, because I think this is so true for a lot of female entrepreneurs, what they're facing right now.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics.
I love it. Okay. So what I have seen a lot of, and I work with a lot of high achieving female entrepreneurs, very strong, very independent. And at some point in their careers or in their business journey, they will get to a place where they financially outdo their spouse. And it has caused obviously a lot of tears, frustration, anger, and just being misunderstood. So what are some things what would you say in those cases? Just kind of unpack this conversation here.
I've seen it. In fact, I've seen it in people where the male-female traditional roles, gosh, you don't really see how deep those run until you run into a husband and wife where the wife starts out-earning the man. If you ever really want to see the traditional gender roles, that's when men really start getting, not everyone, but generally speaking, men get a little bit uncomfortable. And I think that if I look at it, probably one of the biggest reasons why that happened is that men aren't used to it. Men were trained and taught that they are the provider and they're the protector, and men generally get their self-esteem from accomplishment. Well, when their beautiful, nurturing companion all of a sudden has this like boss mentality and starts outperforming them, a weaker man can certainly feel intimidated by it, and sometimes a little bit scared of it. And I think there's some pretty deep psychological things that go on there. But the fears that come up a man when they see their partner start succeeding beyond where they are, I think there's some subconscious things going on there, like, is she going to leave me? Like, am I not good enough anymore? Does she not respect me anymore because she's taking, quote unquote, my role and outdoing me? Like, I think a lot of that comes into play.
Well, let me ask you this. From your perspective, for the women that are experiencing that, like from your perspective, knowing from the male side, what can we do for the woman experiencing that? Because I think that a lot of times they don't know what to say or do. They want to be supportive and they think it's a great thing. And they're like, but no, this is great. This is great for the household. This is great for let me retire you. That's been a common theme in a lot of my clients. It's like, let me retire you. And then you get to come either in the company or you could do this or whatever. And I'm telling you, they're hitting such resistance. So from that perspective, what can they be doing or having the conversation with their spouse to kind of ease it through that process?
I think, like I said, there's different stages of this, right? I think the easiest thing is preventative medicine, and have the conversation with your spouse as early as you possibly can. When you're launching your business, when you have this passion, you have this fire, include your husband in the conversation early on, and as soon as you possibly can, have a conversation with them about, what if this succeeds? What if this works out? What if I grow a business, and what if how would you feel if my income? Prepare them early on, because then they have time to like absorb it, and they know that they're not being challenged. They know they're not inadequate. So if you have the luxury of having the conversation early, do that. Now, if you come and say, but what about the ones that didn't have the early conversation? What if we're in the middle of crisis right now where my husband treats me differently, he's looking at me differently, it's causing a lot of friction because I'm getting attention, I'm getting exposure, I'm making money. What do I do now? I think the best thing to do is to approach it with a level of, I always talk about the ego and the empathy balance, okay? Have some empathy, have some compassion that this male human being is going through something. Okay. We don't want to just bulldoze him and say, you need to be better, you know. So have have some compassion, but also, you know, you have to have the ego in there. Don't be a doormat. Don't get walked all over either. And don't compromise your success and don't compromise your energy to grow because his lack of confidence. So go to him and just be very honest and very real and give him the assurance that your success is not an indictment on who he is as a person. It's a compliment of who you are as a person, and encourage him to join you, encourage him to participate and support you. And I think it's going to opening that dialogue and being honest about the feelings he's having. And frankly, if he's very closed off, if he's very embarrassed by your success, and then this isn't the conversation. We need to be talking about how to build a relationship rather than how to build a business at that point. And sometimes you have to step away and really focus on your relationship to your business, because it can only go one of two ways. The middle ground is no ground of just letting it slide. Giving up on your hopes and dreams and success is an option. Going the other direction where he supports you is the other option. And which one do you want? Which one's most important to you? And I think if you can have those kind of conversations, communication usually helps if you do it the right way.
Well, and I think it's so important to be able to communicate that, because as you know, so often I see clients that they just avoid having that conversation. And so what happens is, from their business perspective, their business suffers. I mean, it's amazing just from an energetic perspective, because like I had this really successful client, 7-figure business. And when she was in her company, she's nailing it. And then she would go home and she would just be berated by her husband. And he's like, what are you doing? Why, you know, I don't understand why you're spending so much time at the office. You know, you're neglecting the house. You're not home here to cook, like all of that. And so she was in this like dichotomy that she was having. And eventually, you know, she had to make some tough choices about, you know, where that it was at. And after multiple therapists, years and years of, you know, going back and forth and just being really wishy-washy, she did make the choice to end the marriage. And not that that's recommended, but in her case, it made sense. And her business went from here, and after the divorce, like within like 6 months, it was like, whoosh, like just.
Of course it did.
It was just like,
of course it did.
Of course, like, right? And I'm like, because you have this energetic weight that's holding you back and can't say anything nice about you and what you're doing, right?
Yeah, I think the very first thing that needs to happen is if you are a woman who is going through that, I think, and if you're experiencing that with your husband, before you retaliate, before you go to drastic measure, I think the first thing to do is to do some self-analytics and go, at what point and at what time did I give him permission to treat me that way? Because that has nothing to do with business. It has nothing to do with success, the amount of money. At what point in our relationship did you give yourself permission to talk to me that way? And hard stop it. It stops now. You don't talk to me that. It's a boundary. We set boundaries. And I think that goes a long way. I think the longer you let somebody talk to you that way, the more it's going to happen.
Well, it gets reinforced, right? It gets reinforced. There's no boundaries. You're not doing anything.
Absolutely.
And it just changes. And I think the one other thing that I see a lot with entrepreneurs is, and this is true for myself too. My husband and I got married. We've been together 23 years. I think so.
You're supposed to know the answer.
Yeah, I know. We've been together. We've been married 23 and together for 25 years, right? And so who we were, like I you know, went into a career path. And as you go into any type of business ownership, at some point I went into business ownership, you automatically sign up for personal development. You don't necessarily agree to that when you're signing up for it, but that's what happens, right? And so, it was really kind of interesting because I'm on this like fast track of like knowledge and I'm like soaking up and learning and just, and what was creating this dissonance between me and my husband. And so we've had to have some conversations because who we were when we got married is very different from who we are today. And so I joke that, I've married him. I got one version and he's married, 7 or 8 versions of me, right? Like, because I'm evolving and growing, right? And so, but we've had to have some tough conversations along the way on different junctures of my development of my business and, who he is and who I am and, family and just it's evolved. But I think a lot of times that happens. And if there's not that understanding or that communication, this can get further and further and it creates this dissonance. And that dissonance, obviously, when children go to college, we know the research that the majority of the divorces happen at that point because they people grow apart.
Yeah, it's interesting. You keep doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. And coming from a male and counseling a lot of people in this category, if this is the man and this is the woman, this does not scare the man. But when this happens, the man is afraid that this is going to happen. Oh, interesting. It's not always just she's doing better than me. Yeah. That's not the fear. The fear is she's doing so much better than me. She's growing in her personal development, her financial development, her business, that this is going to happen. In other words, there's this insecurity in a low-performing man. And by the way, a low-performing man isn't bad. An underperforming man is weak. Yeah. If he's underperforming against his potential, that's a problem. And if your man is underperforming against his potential, he's afraid of this. He's afraid of you leaving him because it unfortunately and fortunately is a natural separator. Yeah. And if I had to give any counsel to a woman, I'd say, get your husband therapy as soon as possible. Help him grow. Yeah. Help him grow in his own way. He doesn't have to grow with you. This is fine. Yes. This scares people. They don't want to see you go away, but I think it's a natural tendency. It's not the right one, but I think it's a natural one that they're afraid they're going to go away. They can find better. And the truth hurts sometimes. Yeah. So from your perspective, what are some of your, words of wisdom for that female that's facing that? Besides the therapy piece, obviously that's really important. I recommend that. That's good. But is there anything that, any conversations or anything from a communications perspective that we can help guide those conversations to? I think that, so just full disclosure here, I'm not a therapist. He's not a full disclosure, not a therapist. But my background in business, my background with both male and female business owners, my background with going through my own divorce successfully, and learning through those processes, I think there's things that women can do. But I really think it comes down to a decision inside themselves first, okay? And it's not a selfish, I guess it would be a selfish one, but not a bad selfish one. Like there has to be a decision in that person that says, what do I want? Well, so I have a client that, she has created her own company and, her, in my opinion, my therapist's opinion, her husband is just emotionally abusive. He's an alcoholic, and it's really sad that she feels like she cannot leave the marriage or create something like that because she doesn't feel like she can take care of herself, or the fear of kind of that long-standing belief system that the male is there to provide, and if she steps out, can she do it on her own? And it's just, it's one of those things that I think she's, she is getting stronger, but she's not there yet. Yeah, when I listen to that, that truly breaks my heart, because if you put those in different words, if you say, I'm staying in my marriage because I can't afford to leave my marriage, that breaks my heart. And I would hate to know anybody in that situation. But my advice there would be, leave it. You'll be fine. You're living proof that you survived everything you've ever encountered today. So go do it. Just a kind of an anecdote of my own divorce. I was married for 17 years to an amazing woman. We had a very amicable divorce. She chose to end the divorce, and during that time, we had some of the deepest, and if there's such thing, a most honest conversation I've ever had. And she, one time she asked me, what do you think will be the biggest difference in your life after we get divorced? I was unprepared for the question, but my response was a little bit too fast. Those honest ones come really quick, like it just like, She said, what do you think will be the biggest change in your life after we get divorced? And I said, oh, by far, I'll make more money. And she...
No filter.
And she looked at me and I'm like, well, yeah, like you've never really supported me in my business. You've never really been there and understood what I do. There's always been this like, this weight, and I don't mean to offend you, but there's been this weight. And no exaggeration, like the moment there was this final, that weight was gone. And by the way, she was wonderful. It wasn't like she was a bad person, but business-wise, consciously and energetically, I was free to go do whatever I want to do it on my terms. And the abundance and the flourishment came so fast. And I don't know if my experience is normal, but I would tell anybody that's in this situation, don't stay because of money and don't leave because of money. Make sure the reason why the marriage is ending is for other reasons. Yeah. Because money is fickle. I mean, you can always make more. It doesn't matter. Like it's very, very fluid. But make sure that you either resolve or walk away from issues that couldn't be resolved. But I don't think money is quite the reason to do it.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with Ryan and some more words of wisdom around our relationships. Is fear holding your business back from creating a bigger impact? If so, it is time to break free from those limitations so that you can step into your power, your purpose, and your potency. Come join us at Breaking Beyond so that we can move from surviving to thriving.
I think it's a really cool event. I love when anything is empowering other women to do great things with themselves.
Breaking Beyond the Six-Figure Barrier, How to Cultivate a Millionaire Mindset. Friday, April 19th at the Comedy Work DTC Landmark. Be a part of a community of entrepreneurs who are elevating their business to financial freedom. Learn the secrets of their success and make them your own.
I am taking away that there's inspiration and there is a sisterhood in recognizing the power of self, the power of loving yourself, of having hope for the future.
I can't wait to see you on April 19th at Breaking Beyond. Join us, click the link and get started today. We're back with Ryan and we're talking about relationships and how it impacts our business. We were talking about the high level, or business owners that have been in, their field for a while or in their business for a while. But I'd love to hear just kind of your take on when the entrepreneur or the female entrepreneur is coming to her husband or spouse with the idea of like, let's start a new business or starting a new business, and what does that look like, and how can they get that spouse on board so that they're being supportive, and what does that support look like?
Yeah, I think the more information, the better. Because if you really, let's take an example of how this comes into fruition. So, the woman didn't wake up one day and go, I'm starting a business. Like something, there's been some precursors, there's been something going on. A very common one is that they went to an event. They went and listened to a speaker. They went to a mastermind, or a friend brought them to something, and then that sounds really MLM-ish, but they went to an event, right? And somebody from stage, or they heard somebody with authority say, hey, you can do this. And so this woman's been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And they go to their spouse, they go to their husband with no information, cold, and they say, I want to start my own business. And the husband rolls their eyes and says, well, how much is this going to cost me? And he says all the dumb, typical stuff, right? And then she feels defeated and she feels like, oh, I don't have any support. I think that if you approach it differently and just take the word husband out of it and replace the word husband in that conversation with something like an investor or a bank or a mentor. And so say the sentence, if I went to my bank or an investor with no information, they're going to kick me out of the building faster than my husband's going to kick me out of the house, right?
Right.
Nobody's going to talk to you. Don't blame your husband. You went to him half-cocked, you went through no information, no preparation. But imagine the flip side. Imagine you meet with an investor, you make an appointment with an investment banker. You call and say, yeah, I'd like to meet with an investment banker. And they say, what do you want to talk about? And they say, well, I'd like to make a business proposal to this investment banker. And you go in there prepared with a binder, you give them the history, you give them the prospectus, you give them a budget, you get, and you say, this is why I want to do this is why I'm passionate about it, this is why it's going to succeed. I think it's going to cost $50,000 to really launch this business, and here's how it's going to be spent. This much will be spent on advertising. I need to acquire a skill. I need to do this, this, and this. And you go to an investment banker with a pitch deck, a portfolio, and they look at it and they're like, here's the $50,000. Now add the word husband into it, and imagine going to your husband and saying, you know, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and let me show you what I've been thinking about. Let me show you what I have, this idea I have. And what if it was all laid out? Get into your husband's brain and think about, how does his brain work? He's probably an A-type, or he's probably a controller of some sort, not in a bad way, but they like to control things. They like to be in charge of things. And if you go with a level of sophistication, a level of like preparation, there's a high probability that this conversation goes different than if you just walk in and been like, hey, I'm going to go to San Diego for the weekend for this $30,000 event. You know, and he's like, what? You know, like the way you approach it can actually cause a different reaction in your spouse. Now, some men, some of them are just not good people. And can I say that?
Yeah, you just did.
I think I just said that. And I'm not like bashing on the men here, but men traditionally, they put women in these really bad situations where a woman comes and says, hey, I want to do this. And men have this like alpha controlling, this is my territory type of a thing. And I think that if you approach it knowing those things, you'll approach it differently. So create a plan. I mean, I'd be impressed if somebody came to me and did that.
It's confirmation for them, right? It's like, because otherwise it's like they go right into that fear base of like, what's, you know, how's this going to happen, and do I have to support you and all those other things? But it's like, yeah, no, and that tells them and sends the message that no, I've thought about this more than just like, I have an idea. Because that's usually my husband. I'm sorry, husband. I'll do better. Now that Ryan is educating me, I'm going to be a better person because of this conversation. You're welcome, honey. But I think that but you're right. Like if that helps dissipate their own fears around what that looks like. And again, you're committed to this. I have a really great friend, and she is a dreamer. And I love her spirit, but she's a dreamer, right? And everything is a dream for her. And I don't think I've ever seen her actively pursue it, although I love her and adore her, you know, so it does kind of make that statement of yourself of like, I'm committing to this and I'm going to put the effort in to make this happen.
Yeah. And I don't want to bash on men, but men definitely have a history and a reputation. Women have their own, identity and stuff. But if a woman gets inside the man's head and really understands where he comes from, I'm not saying he's justified in being mean, but if you can understand where he's coming from, you can de-escalate that very quickly. For example, imagine a professional man, went to 4 years of college, went 2 years in his MBA, got a job and worked his way up over 25 years, worked his way up in business, and now he's the director of a company or a VP of a company. It's taken him 30 years to get there. Yeah. And all of a sudden, old dreamer walks in the room. It's like, oh my gosh, I have the best idea and it's going to make us $1 million. There's a good chance he's going, wait, you're going to do in 18 months what I haven't done in 30 years. Right. There's going to be a natural conflict. He doesn't even have to be a bad person. Yeah. There could be a natural conflict there where you're like, oh yeah, I didn't need an MBA. I just went to this event, you know, like. And so if you approach it that way,
I'm laughing because I so relate to this.
Right? Like if you approach it, no, it doesn't mean that the dreamer can't succeed. Right. By the way, in my relationship, we have a rule that I say, I'm going to tell you 10 things. Like I have 10 ideas. I just need you to shake your head. I need you to smile at me. And I want you to pat me on the head like I'm a good little boy. But that 1 out of 10 that I really want you to pay attention to, I'm going to come and be prepared to talk to you. Yeah. Because I love dreaming. I'm a fire starter. I've got ideas coming out of my ears. And if she I don't expect her to take like immense energy and like commitment to every idea I have. She would get exhausted. So she stares at me when I talk to her and she's like, and I'm sure she turns away and rolls her eyes and she's like, whatever. But then when I really have something, it's a different approach. Yeah. And I'm like, this is the one. I need your support on this one. Yeah. And it's a conversation. And if somebody, you know, I've had this conversation with many, many, many women, and they're like, what do I do when my husband won't support my business? Yeah. And I say, well, I'm going to give you some ideas on what you can do. I'm going to give you some things to say. I'm going to give you the cheat code. I'm going to break bro code, and I'm going to tell you like how to talk to a man. Like we're breaking bro code. I'm going to tell you how to talk to a man. You can unprogram their listening by saying a few things. And then they go, well, what if that doesn't work? And I say, then the business is the last of your worries. You need to go work on a relationship. Yeah. Go build your relationship and then build a business. Because if you're going to try and build a business in the face of a negative relationship, you're adding way too many, like, it's not going to be successful. Yeah, you're adding way too many roadblocks. Well,
you have like a ball and chain, right? And you're trying to take this ball and chain through that, and it's just not going to. It's not going to produce the results that you desire.
Yeah, I think what I'm saying, women, don't just like approach them like schedule an appointment. You know how cool it would be? The way men's brains work, they're like filing cabinets. They're just boring. They're just like, if it all fits in the filing cabinet, like embrace that. Embrace it. What if you booked an appointment? So I have an assistant. She's amazing. And no joke, my wife on important things will book things with my assistant through me. And I will show up on a Wednesday morning. I'll look at my calendar for the day, and at 7:00, there's an appointment with my wife. And I'm like, am I that bad that she has to book? But it's like, oh, this must be important. Like this. Otherwise, she would have said, can you meet me at 7? And whether I remembered or not, we could have that conversation later. But if it's on my calendar and she went through Kathy to put it there, I'm like, something's going on.
Yeah.
And we have this agreement where we all have casual conversations with each other. And sometimes if you're trying to have a serious conversation, but the other person's prepared for a casual conversation, you're not going to get the reaction you want.
Right.
So make it serious. Like if I have something serious to talk to my spouse about, I'll sit down and I'll say, hey, do you have a minute? And she'll be like, no. We're like, when will you? Well, later after dinner. I'm like, okay, how about 8:00? Because there's something I want to talk to you about, and it's going to take some energy. First of all, she's scared to death. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, nothing's wrong. But this is one where I want to have a good conversation about it. And then I'll say, will you be free? Will you be open? Do you have will anything else be in your mind? Like, can we have an hour? And the whole time, I get it. She's panicking. She's like, oh my gosh, what's this about? Like, what's this about? Like, everything's fine. I just want it to be a serious conversation. And then when you sit down in the conversation, and women do this to your man too, say, do I have permission to say some things that are going to be a little bit hard, that are going to take some conversation, going to take some dialogue between the two of us? Can we, like, are you prepared for that? Are you open? Are you in a good space for us to have this conversation? And when that happens to me, I take a deep breath. I'm like, yeah. Now I'm totally attentive, totally prepared. I'm in a good space because I have to be. I agreed that I was. And it's a much different conversation than if somebody bombards me at the kitchen table while I have half a spoon of food in my mouth, and I've got to make a huge decision about supporting. It's like, no, that's just unfair. So play the system, play the gender differences to your advantage, and you're going to get a much different result.
Well, it's almost like pre-framing the conversation. I practice that a lot. Of like when I have to have tough conversations, I pre-frame the conversation of what is the worst outcome. And I'm going to say, like, hey, I'm going to have a conversation, and you may get so angry with me that you're going to storm out of the door. You may divorce me. You may whatever. And then as soon as I have the conversation, then it just kind of dissipates that, and then we can have this conversation. So I love it. I
think most women should have a male mentor in their life that's not their spouse. If like it, I want a female mentor in my life so I can be like, okay, I need some help. Like, how do I do this? Because we're so different. We're just so different. And we're talking about two reasonable adults. If you're not two reasonable adults, like I said, you've got bigger problems, go work on the relationship or go work on a divorce. But you have to, two people have to be reasonable enough to have good conversations.
Well, and going back to the support, like how can women ask for that support from their spouses? Because I know that for me, there are certain things that I will ask my spouse for, and I'll say, okay, I just need you to listen. Like, I will direct the conversation. I'll be like, I just need you to listen. I don't want you to agree with me. I just need you to listen. Or, you know what? I need some help here processing this because I don't know, because there's like lots of options. Like, I do need to have you help me come up with like what would be a good solution. Like, I actually usually tell them what it is that I need.
I can't tell you how many times this phrase has been said between my wife and I. One of us says something, the other one goes, am I supposed to be listening or fixing?
I know.
Like, we say that. I
love it. I love it.
Because I'm a fixer. I'm a fixer.
No, I'm a fixer.
No, I'm a fixer.
No, I'm a fixer.
No, it really is. I'll be like, should I be listening or fixing? Because if I'm going to be listening, I'm so good at that. But I'm so good at fixing. Like, I just need to know. And because there's times where I'll try to fix. And I shouldn't be fixing. And then it's like conflict. So your question was, how do we ask for support? Well, the answer to that is nearly identical to the question. Just ask for support. But make it clear and defined. What does support mean? Do I need financial support from our family bank account, or am I getting outside funding? Do I need you to encourage me? Do I need you to just listen? Like, what does support look like in my world? Because if I have to guess at it, I'll fail 100% of the time of how to support you.
And I think it's fair to say sometimes, not often, because I'm pretty direct when it comes to this stuff. But I think
you're direct?
No,
oh,
no,
okay. Just
wrong
me.
person. But I think for some some clients that I have or people that I've worked with in the past, there's been these conversations like, I don't know what I need to do, and I think it's fair to say I don't know really what I need right now, but let's figure it out. And I think versus like, no, I do need someone to come and So I think it's fair to say if you don't know, it can be a conversation to kind of figure that out.
The soonest you can create boundaries is the best. For example, if I'm working in my home office and you walk in and you're negative, you will change my business for at least an hour. Okay. So set those boundaries as early as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Just say, when I'm working, I'm performing and you can't affect me. But also if you need me, walk in and say, I've got a 911 and I'm prepared to step out of my business and to have a conversation rather than, I have an office outside of the house and I had an office inside the house for 9 years. And then for 3 years, I've been working out of the house. And when I was in the house, we had to create boundaries for both of us.
Yeah.
She wasn't a distraction to me. I was a distraction. When I worked at home, I was a distraction. I'm like, oh, is she out there? I'm gonna go talk to her, And but we just created boundaries, and it made it a lot better.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I think you're like a brother from another mother or something. Like I have another brother here on the show. Most delightful final words of wisdom or thoughts on this topic that we can leave our audience with today.
Yeah, I think that in my experience, most marriages or relationships, they exist on unwritten contracts. And I think I don't know who made that up, but I think that's a pretty common phrase.
Yeah.
It's the unwritten contracts. And earlier I said, at what point did you give that person permission to treat you that way? That's an unwritten contract. If you are currently living in a contract that you don't agree with or that doesn't support you in your business or in any other aspect of your life, rewrite it or get out of it. Okay. And it sounds like this. Look, I know that you kind of have a habit of talking to me this way or treating me this way, and that needs to stop.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't deserve it. Number two, you can't say you love me at night, but treat me poorly during the day. Those two things don't coexist.
Right.
Like, we need to rewrite this contract. I need to tell you what I need. I love you. I'm going to give you a chance to change it. But you need to be clear that if this doesn't change, this doesn't go where you think it's going to go.
Yeah.
Rewrite those contracts so they support what you want. And if business is new to you, if you're starting a new business, you've never done this before, start a contract with them.
Yeah.
But say it out loud. And I think you're going to get a lot better result. And I think it's going to prepare people.
Yeah, and I think it's important to reevaluate, especially if you've been in a marriage for a long time. As you change and evolve, thank you for sharing that, because my husband and I did have some verbal contracts when we got together. I said, if you ever cheat on me and if you ever hit me, I am out. Like that is like, those are my non-negotiables, right? And so, but I think it's like, okay, obviously we've evolved past that, but now I think I'm like, oh gosh, I need to go redo my contract. And we're gonna have like a Santa Claus list now. Thanks. My husband's gonna love you. All right. So where can people connect with you? You have a book. Where can people grab that book or your program?
Yeah, my website, my own personal website is www.j10.com. That's just the letter J, the number 1 and the number 0. There's contact information there, or you can email me directly at ryan@j10.com. If you're going through anything right now and you need another voice on the other end, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a delight to have you on the show today. And for all of you out there, remember, be bold, be brave, be fearless, be the magic of you. Massive love to all of you, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell to find out about my upcoming shows. Thank you for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time.